You are about to enter the Shockwaves Skull Sessions podcast on shockwaveskullsessions.com. And now your host, Bob Nalbandian.
Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to another episode of the Shockwaves Skull Sessions podcast. We're on episode number 50. We're glad to bring to you this week, halfway to the century mark, just shy of a year since the return of the Skull Sessions podcast back in April of 2019. And we just want to thank everybody for listening to the podcast and for your continued support. And we're hoping to bring you guys at least another 50 episodes, and actually hopefully a lot more than that for the next coming year. So thanks for everybody again. Really appreciate it. As you guys know by now, Bob has been really hard at work with his soon-to-be new Inside Metal release, his new movie called The Bay Area Godfathers. For those of you who are in or near the Bay Area, there will be a special screening for the documentary on Sunday, March 29th. It's a matinee at 12 o'clock here in the Bay Area in San Francisco at the Roxy Theater. Tickets are still available, but are going fast. There's only a limited number of them available to the public. So you can go ahead, and if you want to purchase tickets, go ahead. You could do it directly via the Roxy Theater website, or you can also go ahead and send a direct message via Facebook to Bob. And we hope to see as many of you there as possible. It's going to be a great time, so definitely come check it out if you're in or near the Bay Area, or if you want to make a special trip out here. It's definitely worth a nice little vacation for yourself to come visit the beautiful city of San Francisco, along with watching this great screening that's going to occur on Sunday, March 29th at 12 noon at the Roxy Theater. Definitely going to be a blast. And in anticipation and preparation of the movie for the month of March, the podcast is going to feature several guests that will appear in the film and people who have also played a prominent part in the overall success of the legendary Bay Area thrash scene back in the early 80s. And yeah, we just finished up 2 episodes I think you guys are really going to enjoy. And first up to bat here on episode number 50 is current Dress to Dead manager and overall Bay Area thrash scene veteran, Tim Healy. He came by the studio, talked with me and Bob, shared his experiences working at the infamous Record Vault in San Francisco, and just his stories talking with guys like Lemmy and the guys from Slayer. So really cool conversation. Definitely check this one out, as this is the one we're going to be playing right now for you. Also, be on the lookout next week for episode number 51. We got the guys from Stone Vengeance, a band formed back in 1978, way before the thrash scene even started here in San Francisco. These guys got one of the more overlooked bands, I would say, of that scene. Mike, Anthony, and Darren all stopped by the studio to talk about their 40-plus year history. God, crazy. Over 40 years, these guys have been together, a 3-piece speed metal band. And, we had a blast talking with these guys and hanging out with them. And which was really cool is, we got to get some insight, really, as to a lot of the challenges and the barriers that these guys had to overcome as being an all-black metal band at that time. This was way before bands like Sound Barrier and Living Colour were around. So a really cool discussion and great insight on those guys' experiences here in the scene and the San Francisco Bay Area scene back in 1980s and even before that. So stay tuned next week for that one. And yeah, with that being said, let's get started here with episode number 50 featuring Dress to Dead manager Tim Healy. Just a quick little mention before we get started on this one. Tim, he was at one point in the podcast was talking about seeing Merciful Fate at the Record Vault back in 1984, where in fact he saw King Diamond there in 1985. So he just wanted to clear up that information before we went ahead and started the podcast. And remember, guys, you can subscribe and listen to all episodes of the Shockwaves Skull Sessions podcast by going to any podcast directories. We're on all of them out there. Pick and choose your favorite one. We're on it. You can also, if it's a lot easier too, you can also go to our website, www.shockwaveskullsessions.com. And we've also got our own radio station, guys, 24/7. We're spinning the best underground and overlooked hard rock and metal from the 70s until today. It's on shockwavesradio.com. And yeah, let's get rolling here with episode number 50 featuring Dress to Dead manager and Bay Area thrash scene veteran, Mr. Tim Healy.
All right. Here we are at the Skull Sessions studio in San Lorenzo, California with my partner, Matt Hartnett. What's going on, Matt?
What's going on, Bob? How you doing, man? Looking forward to this podcast we're doing today.
We got another live episode here at the studio. Actually, we're going to do 2 live episodes today. We're going to We're good. So we got enough for 2 weeks going. So
That's right.
We're talking about the Bay Area. We got the new movie, obviously, the Bay Area Godfathers, the new Inside Metal movie. So we thought, let's tie it in. We got some local guys around town that we could get in the studio here. And thankfully, our good friend, Mr. Tim Healy,
What's up, guys?
has
What's
made
up,
it down. You might have got a little bit closer to the mic there, Tim.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, good, man.
Fantastic.
Doing good.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you in the studio, man.
Definitely.
In studio guest.
Fantastic.
Tim is a guy, I'm obviously, from LA and I've only been here at the Bay Area for a couple years. But, I've known all these people from the Bay Area, and you're one of those names that just kept coming up all the time. And then,
I keep crawling myself out from under a rock. Everybody's like, oh yeah, that guy. I know him. Yeah, I've met him before.
And then we finally met at several concerts. I think we met at, the Slims at, what was it? Exodus, Uli, at the Uli show. Right? Yeah. That was at that other place. That was a cool place. The double, that's where Dress the Dead played too, right?
Name.
Open. Yeah. But anyway, we met several times, and big.
Oh, is that the New Parish? New Parish.
When Megadeth and Suicidal were playing at San Jose, and you and I were back talking to Mr. Lombardo.
Oh, that's right.
With Mustaine.
Well, that's correct. We were. I forgot about that, and we actually have Dave Lombardo in the new Bay Area Godfathers movie, so he'll be. From that, that's right. I
love Dave.
Now, what's your association with Slayer? You did some stuff with Slayer, correct?
Well, no, it's more just kind of personal connections. I mean, I met them a couple of times way back in the day during the Stone shows and all of that when I worked at the Record Vault. But then I didn't really form a relationship with the guys until I was at Apple. Okay. So I was working at Apple from 2000, 2009. And I got a phone call from somebody that was a guitar tech and that I knew. And he said, hey, I'm in town, Slayer doing San Jose at the Shark Tank. And he said, my tour manager is having a problem with his laptop. Is there any way you could help? And I said, sure. Put me on a list. I'll come down there. I'll sit down. I brought a drive down.
And what year is this?
Oh, God.
So Lombardo was in the band then.
Yeah, this was probably 2003, maybe, 2004, somewhere around there. And so I went down there and I met the production manager, Charlie. And within 5 minutes, I had sorted out whatever he was dealing with on his laptop. And the next thing I know, here comes Kerry walking in, looking at me and cracking his neck. He's like, I hear you're from Apple. I said, yeah. He goes, I need to get a new laptop. Yeah, I like to stream the Raiders games, and I've got my Sling TV, and I need something faster because when I'm over in Europe, I've got to be able to make sure I can connect to it. And I said, well, yeah, I could talk to you about that. That's fine. He's like, okay, cool. And then he walks out the door. And then, probably 5 minutes later, in comes Tom. And Tom is hi, how are you? It's very nice to meet you. Very polite,
Now, did they remember you from the Record Vault days?
No. I told him, I'm like, hey, well, the funny thing is I don't think I said anything about the Record Vault because...
They did some in-stores there. Bob Gamber tells a very funny story about Slayer's first in-store there.
I was not at that. But if you do look at the back of the Haunting the Chapel EP, in the thank you notes, there's blah, 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 and it says, special thank you to the Record Vault, and in parentheses it says, fucking bootleggers. And so I don't know what the story is on that. Oh. Maybe there was a T-shirt that wasn't completely up to par that they looked at. I think they were just doing it to bust balls as they always do.
Right.
So anyway, I was said, oh yeah, old days.
They weren't referring to you though.
Oh God, no. Well, no, it wasn't me. Of course not, Bob. Never. But anyway, so Tom comes in.
Maybe Gary Shirtliff.
Yeah, maybe Gary, right?
Cowboy.
Yeah,
that could have been it. Yeah, absolutely. He's cousins with the naked cowboy over in New York City. So then Tom comes walking in and he says, it's very nice to meet you. I understand you're from Apple. And I said, yeah, absolutely. And he said, I would like to talk about, possibly doing some streaming live of shows. By the way, I'd love to introduce you to my family. And so in walks Sandra, and I meet Sandra, and in walks the kid. It was really nice.
Cool.
And so, and And then Charlie, the production guy, says, "Oh yeah, you should go say hi to Dave. Dave's over in his dressing room." So he walked me over, and I walked in, and then there's Lombardo, and Lombardo was just the most genuine, happy, friendly, welcoming
Such
guy.
A nice guy, yeah.
And so I hung out in the dressing room with him and his ex-wife probably half an hour before the show. Wow. And he said, "Hey, you know what?" He goes, "Come on, stand on the side of the stage." So during Slayer's show, I always tell him this because I find the thing extremely hysterical. I'm standing on the side of the stage, and I'm looking directly across at him, and he's going, and there are the guys, and there's the melee of the crazy crowd and sweat and things are going everywhere. And behind Dave's drum kit are his kids, and I think two of the kids' friends, and they're playing marbles on the deck behind the drum kit. So they're down there, and raining blood, and everything is going on, and it's the mayhem, and the little kids are back there doing their marbles. And so Dave's
earplugs in.
Who knows? Yes, absolutely, Bob. Yeah, there are the big things on.
Good. We don't want to have to get on Dave about that.
No, not at all.
About being a bad parent.
No, they can hear very well right now. No, but then
unfortunately, I can't.
I used to tell them, I go, dude, I always remember because you're up there and you're just going. And then all of a sudden you'll stop, you'll look back and you'll wave at them like, "Hi, honey," and then you go back and you're. So anyway, so that was my, and then I didn't meet Jeff until after the show, and he said, "Oh yeah, I hear you're from Apple.
You're one of those Apple guys."
Apple is an Apple. You guys don't do any good computers for gaming, man. I only do PCs. I don't do Apples. I'm just telling you right now. Don't try to sell me anything. And I go, "Jeff, I'm not going to try and sell you anything." I was going to tell you it's a better experience. He goes, "Oh, shut up. Here, come over here. Do some Sambuca shots." So we literally went back to the bus and did shots of Sambuca for probably about another half hour. And I was like, "No, it's all with him, it was all Sambuca.
Okay.
With Carrie, it seems to be the Jaeger thing." Right. So, but anyway, so that's kind of, and then, over the years running into Carrie and Tom, but I've always really kept in touch with Dave mainly.
Right on.
Because Dave is just, Dave's a rock solid human.
Well, let's go way back. I mean, you're, like I said, one of these San Francisco staples.
Yes.
Been around the Record Vault. That was your first introduction. Well, I guess your first introduction to music apparently would be Elvis, right?
Well,
Elvis,
yeah.
and
When I was a little small tyke before I could venture out on my own, my parents bought me an Elvis Greatest Hits album. And I remember looking at it going, "Wow, flashy gold, cool. That guy looks neat." And then I put it on and I played it for probably about 6 months straight. And, Hound Dog and Jailhouse Rock and all that. And then the kid next door, I think I was five or six, he said, "Oh, I got this great new album. You got to come over and check it out." And it was Alive.
Oh, Kiss Alive.
Kiss Alive.
Yeah.
Kiss Alive. And I looked at that, and of course, like everybody's like, "Oh my God, what is that?" And so I turned into the massive Kiss fan and was buying posters or trying to get posters. I would get them from the kid behind me. And then my mom always hated it because she said, "Oh, Gene Simmons, he's evil. And now, of course, we know that that it's all
true.
It's all true. Absolutely.
He is the devil.
Yeah, of course.
You know that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I got confirmation from Michael Brandvold that Gene Simmons actually is.
Oh, geez. Yeah. And if anybody's going to tell you, that's going to be Mikey. Absolutely. But no, so, I was kind of, Kiss and Elvis. And then, as I got a little bit older, I started getting to record stores on my own, and I wandered in and I found the second Iron Maiden album. And then I found Number of the Beast and went, "Well, God, I got to get that because anything that looks that cool is going to be 10 times as cool when you listen to it." And then I discovered Judas Priest. And as soon as I discovered Judas Priest with Unleashed in the East.
You actually discovered Maiden before Priest? Huh?
No, it was the same day.
Okay.
This is the same day.
Oh, wow, okay.
Same day. But I got the Iron Maiden Number of the Beast album, and I bought the Unleashed in the East
so we're
cassette
talking
tape.
82 probably, huh?
82.
Yeah.
82, yeah, I was 12. And so then I became a Priest head. And then a couple of years later in high school, I was a freshman in high school, and I was walking around. I went to a Jesuit high school in San Francisco. So all of us rockers who want to wear our rock T-shirts, the rule was you're not really supposed to wear them. You're supposed to wear, if you're going to wear them, you got to wear flannel over it. But there's always this one.
What year is this?
This is 84.
Even the 80s.
And even the 80s.
Flannel thing.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
I thought it was Trickster that invented the flannel. Before
grunge.
Trickster. I didn't know 84. Tim Healy. And the high school.
Oh no, I'm not going to claim that that's my found. No way, Jose. No, but yeah. So
flannel was around before grunge, boys and girls. You hear that?
Bay Area.
I can tell you, it's true. At least green and red was. And then I kept seeing this kid, Jason Moser, walking around, and he refused to wear flannel. He would always wear a Slayer shirt. And I remember him wearing a Hella Waits t-shirt, and he would get sent home every single day. And finally, I went up to him like the third or fourth time I saw him wearing that shirt.
They would actually send him home, and you have to change his shirt.
Yeah. Oh God! And he lived in Moss Beach, so that was a good 45-minute ride.
He was probably happy. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm out of school for a few hours." Hey,
yeah, right.
His mom's like, "Can you stop making me come pick you up, please?" But I said to him, "I said, would you get that Slayer shirt, man?" And he said, "Record Vault." I'm like, well, really? And he said, "Oh yeah, Record Vault. You got to go." So the very
You're
next,
like, "Fuck! I don't even know who Slayer is, but I want to get expelled from school too. I want to get sent home so I can take some time off."
I knew who Slayer was. I had my Show No Mercy album, but I was so like into the fact that he had a Slayer T-shirt because it just was something that I had never seen before. And he goes, "You got to go to the Record Vault." So that next day, I looked it up, and I took 2 buses, and I ended up at the Record Vault, and I walked into this record store, and it was like walking into heaven. I mean, except it was dark and dank, but I walked in, Motorhead was playing. I remember that. I remember the big Motorhead posters on the front window, and I walked in and just... I decided this is the only place I was going to go to.
And it's all metal, right?
It's probably 60% metal.
Okay.
A little bit of punk. Okay. We had about 4 racks of punk. Right. And then that was the back half of the store. The front half of the store was new wave and a whole wall of really rare psychedelic records. So one of the owners, he dealt in psychedelic records. And I'm talking... This one record is $675, and I mean, he would
even back then.
Oh God, yeah, wow. Absolutely, and all of this
was psychedelic, 70s psych.
No, like 60s and 70s. Yeah, super rare stuff, right? Northeast Ohio, blah blah blah. Okay. And he would be on the phone all the time doing mail order deals. And so he would say, I just sold this one for $790, and he's sending me 2 records that are worth $900.
Jeez,
I'm like, Jesus, dude!
Man, wow,
yeah, I didn't know
that was a big thing. And then the other thing in the front was all industrial, like Throbbing Gristle and Jennifer the Peoria and all that stuff. But yeah, I was a metal guy, so I would go and I would hang back there, and I started coming in so much that after about 6 or 7 months, they said, "You know what? You're here so much. Why don't you just work here?" And they said, and this was Pam. This was Greg. This was Pam and Greg. Well, Pam was married to Zeri, and Zeri was the guy that did all of the psychedelic record buying and selling.
I gotcha.
Pam and Greg was Zeri's brother. So it was very much a family thing.
Now, was
right?
Bob Gamber then there at the time? Or
no. Bob didn't work there when I was there.
Okay,
so that might have been, if he was there, that was maybe the first Record Vault, because there were 2. There was one that was right on Polk and Pacific, and it was a smaller store. And that was the one, if you see the pictures of Lars smashing the copy of, I think it was Kill 'Em All or something out front.
Yeah, that was when he worked there. So you came in like late 80s?
No. I came in 84.
Oh, okay.
84.
Oh, wow.
They had just moved to the 24-23 Polk spot. It was Polk and Union.
Okay.
And so, anyway, it was very much a family thing. And so Pam finally said to me, she goes, "Timmy," she called him Timmy. "Timmy, you're here so much, why don't you just work here?" And she said, "The first thing, you know what? Here's your test. Your test is you're going to work this Motorhead in store and make sure nobody steals anything." And so I came in the next day or whenever it was, and Motorhead came walking in. I'm like, wow. And I just made sure that nothing got ripped off. And they went, "Okay, you got a job." So I started working
was
there.
This Brian Robertson? What, 84?
No, this was Wurzel. No, wait a minute, hold on. Well, no, this was when it was the Merciful Fate Motorhead in store when they played the Warfield. So it was 84, 85. I think it was 85.
So yeah, Wurzel. And was Phil Campbell playing drums?
No, it was.
I mean, not Phil Campbell. I mean,
Pete
Gill.
Pete Gill.
Pete Gill. I meant
Pete Gill. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing was amazing. And so I got the job, and I was working there, and everybody came in. They're like, oh wow, how the hell did you get a job here? And I'm like, I don't know, I just got lucky, I guess. But the greatest Motorhead in store was in '86 when it was Orgasmatron. And I had been inspired by Ron Quintana to start my own little metal fanzine called...
That's the man who inspired me to start the Headbanger.
Everybody knows Ron.
Sure.
And I started As the World Burns. And so I'm like, I'm going to do my own magazine. And I thought, Ron's going to... This is nothing compared to Metal Mania. And I put out my first little
This is before
issue.
the Kiss...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is before Kiss. This was kind of what gave me the ability when I did the Kiss thing to say, I've done that before.
Right.
I've done it before. So I did As the World Burns, and Ron came in the day after I got the first issue out. He said, dude, I really like this. This is really good. And that gave me a lot of positive reinforcement feedback. And so when we did the Motorhead in-store with for Orgasmatron, I said, I want to interview Lemmy, and I want to interview Wurzel. But I really want to interview Lemmy mainly.
Right.
And so they did the signatures. We shut the store down, and there were probably 10 of us in the store with the band. And I was downstairs, and Lem was sitting there, and I walked up, and I said, Lem, I work here. He goes, yeah, I know. You're here. And I said, I'm doing my own. I was all nervous, right? Yeah. And I'm like, I do, this magazine As the World. What do you do? And he goes, sit down.
Yeah.
Sit. So he said, you want a drink? And so we sat down there.
First Jack and Coke?
No, only orange juice, man. Only orange juice. Nothing in the orange juice whatsoever.
How old were you then, by the way?
16.
Okay.
16. So that's why it was only orange juice. Wink, wink.
Tell that to Stefan Shirazi.
Oh, Stefan. I don't know if Stefan was there that night.
No, but there's a story when he did a Kerrang piece. I think he was like 16 or 17, and Lemmy got him drunk.
Oh, well. Okay, I guess it's safe to say then that maybe there was something extra in there.
I don't think you being 16 would have mattered much.
No. So anyway, I sat down with Lem, had a nice little chat with him for about 15 minutes, then walked upstairs. I had a chat with Wurzel. I've still got it on tape. It's amazing.
Nice, really?
Yeah, this awesome. Little green kid. You can hear him go, what's your favorite? And so,
it reminds me of when I interviewed Ronnie James Dio for the first time.
Oh, that must have been.
And that was when he had just put out the Holy Diver record. Right. And I was the same. I met him at the country club.
You did it for
Headbanger, yeah. And I met him at country club. I think he was there to see Yngwie at the... Was he with Steeler or Alcatraz? I think it was Steeler because it was 83. It was Steeler. And he was there, and I gave him a copy of my fanzine. And I said, dude, I would do anything to do an interview with you. He gave me his home number, and he said, call me. And then he invited me to his house. This was his original house in Tarzana, or his old house. Wow. And I was there for like 2 hours. And
wow.
Damn. I was like...
Even back then, he was like that.
Oh, the nicest. Yeah,
sweetest guy.
His home number.
Yes,
it's like, they're just calling. He goes, anytime, Bob, I'd love to do it. So.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's the thing you hear. You always think,
and Lemmy the same too.
Lemmy,
and these people, it's a shame. These people are gone now. But that was like the old school mentality.
Right.
The rock stars, but they were so humble and they adored their fans.
Right. Absolutely. I've got this amazing photo of me and Lemmy down on that couch, and that's my gem. Right. If there's like one photo, and years later, Stefan, who is a longtime friend. I can't remember. It was probably 2012, 2011 Motorhead at the Warfield. Right. And so Stefan would always, sort me out, and we would go down there, and I brought this photo. And he goes, oh, we got to go show this to Lem. So we went back in the back, went into the room, and Lem was there, kind of like sipping his Jack and Coke. I think it was after the show. And he said, Lem, it's Tim from the record. He goes, oh, how's Pam? I go, Pam's good. Pam's good.
And what year is this now?
Oh, this is probably 2012.
And he still remembered all that.
Yeah, he goes, how's Pam and Zeri? Pam and Zeri. And I'm like, yep, Pam and Zeri, absolutely.
Got a great memory. Yeah.
And he goes, you were the kid.
So he remembered you.
Yeah, I think he said, you were the kid. And because I showed him the picture. He goes, oh, you were the kid. And I said, yeah. And then he looks at the picture. He looks at me. He looks at the picture. He looks at me. He goes, what happened to your hair? And I'm like, yeah, well, some of us aren't as lucky as you, man. So he goes, oh, no, it's all cool. So we signed the photo. And then I've got this great photo of me and him sitting, holding the photo up and taking a picture. So any time I got to have a chat with him,
it's unbelievable he remembered that. I mean,
he's got an amazing memory.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, yeah.
You know, when I met him, because he used to hang. Obviously, everyone knows he used to hang out at the Rainbow all the time. And I would always see him there, and I never want to approach him because I'm thinking, everyone's.
I don't want to bother
him. Always see him, and then I actually had dinner with him with a dear friend of mine, Michelle Meldrum, and Moa, who was the singer of the band Meldrum at the time, who was very close with Lemmy, and we had dinner, and he knew me from the. I had met him several times since the early 80s.
Right.
And he's like, dude, I know you. You follow me around all the time since like the early 80s. And I'm like, what? I
Really?
go, yeah, I remember you. And I don't know if he mentioned the jackets. I used to have a jacket with all these patches, but he remembered me because I would always like be at a table like with him with people I knew that knew Lemmy. And I never wanted to oh, dude, I'm the biggest banner. But he acknowledged me and knew of me. I was like, wow, man, his memory is just amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys where I would walk down and you're kind of like, this Lemmy. It's like there are a few. There's like Lemmy, Paul Stanley, Steve Jobs. Those are kind of the three guys where when I walked in the room, I'm like, you can feel the energy. So, and then I would walk out and go, oh, I should have asked this or I should have said that. I've always been fascinated by his knowledge of history and tanks and all that. To this day, I wish that I had walked up and said, man, what's the difference between a Panzer and a this or, asked him something like that because I figured that would have turned into like a really cool conversation.
Right.
But it's just
he
the
was a
fact
big
that,
historian.
Oh,
he loved
amazing
that stuff. Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, a super intelligent guy. That's a lot of people don't realize about Lemmy. He was incredibly intelligent and witty.
Right.
And he was just so sharp. Yeah.
And the fact that he went as long all the way to the end, man. I mean, that's the rock and roll god.
Yeah,
thing.
doing
absolutely.
What he did,
Yeah.
Sure.
So, let's talk about this Kiss zine. You started. So you started that shortly after the.
I started that
original.
Well, what happened was Frank Munoz, who I went to high school
Prime,
with,
right? Or does he? Still work?
Well, no. He's with Q Prime. He works for Lars.
Okay.
So he's been working with Metallica for years, since like '98. Frank and I went to high school together, and so. March 30th, 1988, Kiss is playing at the San Francisco Civic, now the Bill Graham Civic, and it's Kiss and Anthrax. And we're down.
I remember that tour. I saw that at the Long Beach Arena.
That was the largest Kiss sign ever.
Yeah,
I think that was Crazy Nights.
Okay, yeah.
But I went to the show, and I was right up front during Anthrax, and everybody split as soon as Anthrax got off. I'm kind of hanging out there, and I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, I know you, but I don't know where you're from. And then that was that. Kiss came on, great show. Next day, I'm walking through the halls at school. There's Frank. I'm like, that's why I know you. And now he and I have known each other and been.
So this was high school story.
Oh, yeah, high school story. So come 1989, Frank is working he's working at the Mitchell Brothers O'Farrell Theater.
Ah, nice.
And so
DJ or was it?
Well, he was a DJ. Yeah,
because Quintana, I think, worked there as well.
I do not know. I didn't.
I think he DJ'd there for. It might have been a little later, but
that might have been an interesting. I'm sure he has some stories there.
Oh yeah,
but
greatest strip club on earth. I've been there back in the early '90s.
Well, back then it was amazing. Oh, yeah, exactly. But I would go down there because Frank would be working in the video store, and in the video store they were supposed to be showing all the tapes on the TVs, and he and I would go down there and we'd stick Kiss 1976.
So they're having
Houston.
all these porno tapes.
Yeah, and we'd take them all off.
And you would have Kiss up there.
We'd put Kiss up there. And then Artie
people
Mitchell
are jacking off to Gene Simmons.
No. We'd have all the Japanese tourists to be walking in to buy all the tapes. And then Artie Mitchell would walk in and say, Frank, will you take that goddamn shit off and put the porn back up there? And so we'd put it up, and then he'd leave, and we'd put Kiss back on.
It's usually the other way around.
Yeah, I know, right?
Get that porn off. Take that porn off.
Exactly. But Frank had the ability to invite a lot of the girls to concerts.
Nice.
So it was the Hot in the Shade tour, 1989 in Concord. We brought some friends along with us and went back to the band hotel. Somehow Frank, of course, knew the tour manager. And we got to like the Red Roof Inn in Concord. Right. And so we got there, and the girls went off, and we sat there, Frank and I, out down in the lobby and waited and waited. Finally, Bill Greer, the tour manager, walks on. He goes, guys, yeah, they're not going to be able to make it down. They're kind of indisposed, but nobody knows this yet. We're playing the Garden. It's the final show of the tour. If you guys can make it to New York City, we'll hook you up.
How did you know them, or what was your key there? Before the fanzine, right?
Yeah, before. Frank knew the tour manager.
Okay.
And so he brought the girls from
I gotcha.
There you go. And so the guy felt bad that we were sitting downstairs, so we're there.
Now, did he fly all the girls out to New York?
Oh, God, no. No, it's just me and Frank. That would have been fun.
That would have been.
Best flight ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So we get to New York, we see the show. Bill gets us into the after show party at Charlie O's. It turns out being Eric Carr's final
Charlie
show.
O's. Wow.
Ooh.
I don't know Charlie O's.
Right?
He's the East Coast boys.
I'm from
Charlie O's.
I know exactly what Charlie O's is.
Dude, it was shut down.
Wow.
Right? It was, you had Lita Ford, Kiss, Winger, Rush. All those guys were in there for the party. And there were probably 300 people outside behind a barrier trying to get in. There's me and Frank. Wow. And so Bill Greer comes out, keeps looking at us going, just wait, hold. And so we waited there for 45 minutes, an hour. Finally, Bill comes out and he says, come. And so we walk and we get to the entrance. And I swear the fire chief of New York City and the police chief of New York City are standing there. And they're saying, no, you're at capacity. And Bill says, I will vouch for them personally. I need to get them inside. And they went, okay. Nice. Now, how the hell he had pull over those two guys?
Usually no one has pull over.
Exactly, right?
Fire department.
So we go in, and it was amazing, and I, get Gene signs the back, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so Frank and I are flying back home, and we said, whatever is the next show, we're going to go to. Well, then Eric passes the next year, and then they announced that they've got Eric Singer, and actually the first show is at the Stone in San Francisco on, I think, April 12th of 92. Okay. So we're like, well, that's easy. And I said, you know what? We need to have some type of credentials. Let's start our own Kiss fanzine. And because somehow we knew that Young's Marketing was the management company back in New Jersey for them. Right. And we had the address. So I wrote to them and I said, yeah, I'm going to be writing an article with a photographer, blah, blah, blah. Would love to get on the list and get a photo pass. And they wrote back and said, as long as you can write this on a letterhead that has the name of your magazine, we will sort you out. So at that point, I said, we're going to start a magazine. And that's how we started Kiss Heaven. Oh, okay. And it turned into 6 years of doing pretty cool magazines. I mean, it was all full color computer by the end. This is
92 you started?
92, and we went through about 96.
Wow.
And we stopped when the makeup thing started. It was kind of it just ran its course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it was fun, man. I mean, we went and we flew to Florida. We did a West Coast thing for the Revenge Tour. We were in the pit shooting photos. It was great.
So they gave you passes for all that stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Frank ended up working with them during the makeup years. I mean, literally, he was with Ace after Ace got his plastic surgery. Or but he got like a facelift. And so his job was to look after Ace while Ace was recovering. And so he was on the road with them for a while. But I kind of went in a different direction. But it was fun, man.
And now is he still working with Lars? Or?
Oh yeah, Frank's with Metallica. He's
nice.
with Lars. Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the kind of Kiss fanzine thing. Every once in a while it kind of winds back. A lot of the people on the Kiss crew are gone. From back in those days. But
it's funny. That's 30 years ago. You think about it, almost 30 years ago.
That's why I look in the mirror and I'm like, whoa, what just happened?
No, it is funny because it's kind of like we talk about these times about the 80s and the 90s even, and the 90s was kind of like the newer. That was when new metal started. It was new, and now it's like you think about. Even bands like System of a Down that's over 20 years old. And it's like, wow, you still think of the newer generation of Avenged Sevenfold. Oh, they're like the newer metal bands. Like, fuck, they're 20 years old now. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Yeah. But, let's talk about Dress the Dead. Now, how'd you get into management? Was that, I know you and Craig LaCicero, we've actually had Craig on our show. We did him
about a year ago.
Live in the studio. Was it a year ago?
It was almost a year ago. Let's April.
Holy shit! Yeah, that was one
we
of our
first ones. We got to get the whole band in here for you guys.
Well, he was saying he wanted to get. I know he wanted to get Kayla in here.
Yes,
I know she's up in
but we will definitely
Portland.
do that. Yeah. Yes. What's going on? Because I remember he was saying about a year ago, like someone was asking him, like, hey, what's going on with the new record? He was just like, patience.
Yes.
Patience.
Yeah.
So what's going on with the record?
virtue.
Because they haven't released anything. They had this. I know the song and the video came out.
We had 1969 came out last year.
Okay.
And then You Only Get Off When I Cry was the second video that we just put out.
Yes.
Actually, that was last year.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, you got to check that out,
that's
man.
been out for,
That was,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's one that is.
made a big-
I did see that. Yeah.
You saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was when Kayla went crazy.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's very cool. No, what happened was I've known Craig for years, and I was working with him and a few folks on the Sean Killian benefit for the Killian on Command thing. That was 2 years ago now at the Metro. And Dress the Dead had just found Kayla, and they were rehearsing with her, and that was going to be the first show. And so everybody was looking forward to seeing the new singer, and there was a lot of hype. And so I remember they came on; they were great. It was really cool to see her up there, and they were fantastic. And then the Killian on Command thing is now a thing in legend just because of story. The fact that Sean was in such bad shape, and then a year later. The violence
recovered great.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
–
So anyway, I saw them then, and then it was probably 3 or 4 months later they played at the Great American Music Hall, and I said, I'm got to go down and check it out and support. I walked down. I stood right at the front of the stage and was just blown the fuck away. And I told Craig outside afterwards. I said, dude, whatever's happening. There's something different than that first show. The first show was great, but you guys, the chemistry and Kayla was it was amazing. It was like lightning, right? And so I went home and I thought of the next day, I said, somehow I have to be involved with these guys. I got to reach out to him. And so that was churning in my head for a couple of weeks. And it got to a point where I said, I got to reach out to Craig. Maybe I'll photograph them whenever they do their Barrier shows or something. And right then I get a text message from him. And it says, do you have time to chat? And so I gave him a buzz, and I said, hey, what's going on? He said, well, we're kind of taking off here. There's a lot going on. And I said, I know. Like I told you, it's amazing. And he said, I kind of, I think what we need a manager. And I said, yeah, that's a good next step. And he said, it needs to be you.
Wow.
And I said, come again? And he said, well, it needs to be you. Look, I trust you. I know you. You know how to put your foot down and get something done. You know how to negotiate. And, you know a lot of the same people that we do. It only makes sense. I know somebody that's
manager
close.
right there, yeah.
So I said, well, I used to sort of manage my buddy's ska band way back in the 90s and early 2000s, but nothing to this level. Let's see where it organically grows to. And it just became very natural. And so that was last March or February. And it's turned into something just amazing. So we're about ready to release our first EP. We have everything almost completely mastered.
All right, awesome.
Been working very hard on it, and it sounds incredible. So stand by.
And Rob Flynn, did he produce?
He produced some of it. We have a couple other guys that are working on it as well. And then, like I said, we did "You Only Get Off When I Cry" video. In October, we released it.
Now, these were very well done videos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mike
Did a
Sloat.
company put up with that? Or was
No,
that
do you know
all the
Mike
bands?
Sloat? Mike Sloat is a video guy. He lives up Novato, up north.
Oh, nice.
So we had him come in. He shot it. He edited it. He put the whole thing together.
Wow. Great job.
I believe Mike's done some Machine Head stuff, I think. Okay. Maybe I'm speaking out of tune. But Mike's been around for a long time. So we had Mike do it, and then I've just been, focusing on that. The really exciting stuff for this year is in July, we're playing at the Dynamo Metalfest.
In Holland. Awesome. That's awesome.
Right? We're going to fly over there, and we're going to be in front of like 10,000 people and do that thing. And then that's the first night we're playing. The second night, there's a Bay Area Interthrashional event.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Well, no, what it is, Craig's been putting it together. I've been assisting him on it. It's going to be a slew of special Bay Area metal guests. A lot of them that are there, and a lot of guys that were flying over. And slowly but surely, we're going to start announcing who is going to be there.
Oh, cool.
But it's going to be a review of all things Bay Area thrash metal. So it's going to be really, really fucking cool.
And that's going to be in Holland as well?
It's the second night of Dynamo.
Oh, okay.
So I got Dress the Dead the first night of Dynamo, and then Barry and Interthrashional the second night. And then some of the Dress the Dead people, along with everybody else, are going to be doing the Bay Area thing.
Now, are they going to do covers of Bay Area thrash songs?
Yeah, there's a voting site that's been up, so you can go and vote, and it's stuff Metallica, Exodus, Testament, a whole slew of things. And we're going to announce down the line what the final list is going to be. So that'll be really fun.
Cool, man. Yeah,
that is cool.
And then the other thing that's amazing is on Tuesday we are flying down to LA because we're playing the Ultimate Jam Night at the
Black Sabbath.
The Black Sabbath 50th anniversary.
Those are always fun. Tuesday nights on. It's just an open
and the whole
jam.
band's playing, right? Just not just
the whole band's playing. We're the opening act, or we're the guest slot, and then after we get done, then the jam happens, and then all of the guys get up there, and Kayla's going to be. I can't say what songs we're going to be doing, but it's going to be pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that's always a fun jam. Anyone down in LA every Tuesday, and it's free to get in, which is great.
Yeah,
and it's always have a theme like this week. It's a Black Sabbath, obviously, so everyone does all these Sabbath covers, and you never know who's going to show. But there's always some major
very
players
very special guests will be there.
So
if you're in LA,
the whiskey,
the whiskey,
the whiskey. So being able to go down and play at the whiskey is pretty cool. I mean, that's going to be pretty neat, right?
Absolutely.
But then I've got two kids now, an 8 and a 10-year-old, and they're both big fans of Dress the Dead. I mean, they both love Priest, and I was telling you guys, I've taken my oldest to go see Priest twice now. Exactly.
He says 3 times, but you have to correct him.
I have to correct him.
At 10 years old, that's great, man.
They've each seen Iron Maiden twice now. So
got major bragging rights here at his
they
school.
can.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Elementary school. Come on.
Yeah.
But they want to go see Dress the Dead, and I'm like, sorry guys, we're playing 21 and over. But as soon as we do an 18 and 18, an all ages thing, I'll bring you on.
Sucks now. When I was a kid, and I'm sure you going to the Stone, and we'll kind of end about some of the old classic shows.
The Omni,
the Omni.
Mabuhay,
it was all ages. Right?
All ages.
I used to go at 16 years old. I would be at the Woodstock Club, seeing Metallica playing the clubs and the Radio City and the Concert Factory. I mean, at 16, I would go. I would drive. I borrowed my mom's car at the time, and boom, I would go to the country club, to the Troubadour, wherever. I mean, it was all ages.
Nice.
I think at the Whiskey was that 18 and over? I know I saw that because I saw Saxon and Metallica there, Metallica's second show. That was 82. So, I think some of the Starwood was 18 and over. That's why I never made it to the Starwood.
The famous Van Halen location, right? Yeah.
Yes. But everything else was all ages.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It's something we talk about.
Well, also, the drinking age back then was not 21.
No, it was
younger too, right?
It was 21. It was always 21.
Yeah,
in California.
21.
Oh, California.
California always.
Gotcha.
I know in New York
it was like 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here it was always 21. But the clubs, you could go to the Gazaris, wherever. It was all, Dude, I used to get into the Rainbow when I was like 17, 18. They didn't... they didn't, because it was a restaurant,
right?
And if you're drinking, but dude, I used to hang out at the Rainbow.
Well, you're going to get food,
exactly.
right? Come on.
I was drinking them, but
exactly.
I was drinking at the Woodstock.
You were having 7-Up, Bob. Come on, we all know that.
They used to
7-7
with a beer at the
7-7.
Woodstock, and they would just take the beer away from me, and they're like, "Don't you order any beer again?" I'm like, "Okay, I won't." They didn't kick me out or anything. I'd always go back. So it was,
Yeah, times have changed, obviously.
Yeah.
I miss all the clubs, man. All those places were magical, and now there's barely anything. It's like nobody will understand that lived there.
Everywhere you go, LA is the same.
It's the same. It's the same.
People just don't go out and see live music. So, we had our friend Jimmy Arsenio. Is that how?
We just did a show for him at the Ritz.
He's the best,
in
man.
San Jose.
He's in the documentary, and he says the same thing. I was, the whole scene has changed. People just don't go see live shows anymore.
Right.
It's not a big, thing for the youth. It's great. The whole, technology. Of course, you're working at Apple.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that's going on with YouTube and everything. But it's a shame because people don't leave their house anymore. People don't realize how great the live entertainment was. But back then, that's all we had.
It's all we had.
You had to go out to see these.
It's all
shows.
we had.
And,
So
what were some of the shows? Some of the classic shows you saw back? Obviously, you working at the Record Vault. You probably had a lot of pull because all the musicians shopped at the record.
Well, a lot of musicians shop, but then a lot of people came and put tickets on sale, and they were, $5 to go see a show at the Stone.
Sure.
And then, if you work there, a lot of times you got a free ticket or something along the line. I mean, I remember seeing, Exodus at the Stone. I mean, the Metallica at the Mabuhay Garden. Slayer. The amount of times I saw Slayer at the Stone. One of my favorite Slayer Stone shows. It was '85, and it was Slayer and Possessed. And I've told Jeff Becerra this story, and he remembers it. Possessed come on, and about 4 songs into the Possessed set, I mean, it's packed, right? I mean, it's completely packed.
So it's like 83, 84?
No, this was 85.
Okay.
This was the Live Undead tour.
Okay.
They did like a little stint on the West Coast. But it was packed, and everybody wearing their leather jackets, and you're like, I'm not taking my leather off because I want to look cool. Your sweat is pouring down. And so at the Stone, the pit, I mean, the floor wasn't that big, so the pit kind of took up everything. And somebody lit off a barrel bomb in the middle of the pit. Ooh. And so the pit's going, and all of a sudden, boom! And the concussion pushed everybody back like half a foot.
That could kill someone. That's crazy, dude.
And then you stopped, and then I remember looking, and the pit just started going again. and then about 30 seconds later, out comes a guy with blood coming out of his eyelid. Another guy comes with blood on his hand. People were coming out like with shrapnel. And that was about it.
Did they catch a guy who did it?
No, nobody knows what the hell
See, back
happened.
then, it was like that. I mean, you did that today, it would reach the news.
Forget about it. Yeah, you'd
terrorist
be in jail.
attack.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was dude.
Yeah.
Fender's Ballroom and some of these places in LA where they did these thrash shows. A lot of the gangs would come out to these
fights.
These stabbings. I mean, crazy shit. People would, there was Fender's and other places. People died in the parking lot, being stabbed. But people would get stabbed and just go right back in the pit, and it was just this energy. And it's like, that shit kind of scared me. At that point, it was like, I didn't get into the whole death metal, but I was into the thrash thing. But going to there or going to the Olympic Auditorium to see the thrash shows, it was pretty violent, dude. It was a lot of gang affiliates, and it was like, I mean, people would be bloodied all the time.
See, it wasn't that bad. Up here, it wasn't like that. Yeah. That was probably the only time I can remember blood, and that was because of that. But going to the Omni and seeing Testament or Legacy back before then,
right?
And of course, Exodus and the Death Angel. Jesus, the amount of times we saw Death Angel. But there weren't a lot of punkers or skinheads that were at these metal shows. It was all the thrash kids, and everybody kind of looked out for each other and had a good time.
That was a difference, and that's something we talk about in the documentary. Again, you like to plug Bay Area Godfathers, but it is interesting because it was you had this, and because you had this big support system. We didn't have stores. I mean, you had Oz Records, which was Brian Slagle's store, way up in the valley in Woodland Hills. That was pretty much. Not exclusively metal, but the metal store. There weren't, you had Zed Records, which was mostly punk and metal, but it was all crossover. The punk metal thing, and you had Suicidal and all these bands that kind of had that crossover appeal. And so, but in San Francisco, you had thrash. You had, you had KUSF, Ron Quintana and Ian Callan. You had Metal Mania and all these different bands that really supported. And San Francisco is much smaller geographically area than LA. It's so
tiny,
spread out.
Yeah.
And LA, it wasn't until, really after Metallica went up to the Bay Area, then you had Slayer and all these bands that were doing huge numbers, but they weren't doing it to just metal show. It was they were doing, they were playing with the DRIs and all these different bands, and it was a big crossover thing. And even Motorhead, you see Motorhead or the Venom, the Ultimate Revenge, and it was a lot of punks. Because that was kind of what it was in LA. But it was cool. It was cool after a while. But some of the shows, some of the ones that Mike Muir did at the Balboa Theater, which was right outside of Watts. I mean, you couldn't. I mean, that's the thing about LA, the San Francisco clubs is they were so much more accommodating to metal, whether it be in LA, and that's why I think LA was known for the glam, because in Hollywood they wouldn't have they'd have Slayer or Metallica played a few shows at the Troubadour and the Whiskey, but after a while, once it got the slam dance, all that they banned all these bands.
Well, they didn't have the gang affiliation right up here, I think, as much as they had it down in
exactly.
That's true.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
But
too.
even the Hollywood clubs, just the stage diving alone and the they didn't get it. They didn't just like, you can't do that here. So the bands had to play places on the outskirts, Fenders and
Up here, it was this family thing, right? I mean, everybody came to the Vault to hang out. I knew there was the Record Exchange in Walnut Creek, But in San Francisco, I always called it the nucleus of the metal scene because you'd have Lars walking in, licking an ice cream cone, talking about a show. You'd have everybody bringing their demos in, and up and coming musicians would come hang out and buy records there. And it was just a family thing that was really at the helm by Greg and Zeri and Pam, who really made this environment for everybody. And to this day, Sven Soderlund, who everybody knows
he's
for
another guy.
Mercenary.
I know the name of course, Mercenary.
He was in Mercenary, has played with tons of different bands, Bay Area bands.
He sent a few Kiss photos, I think, way back when.
Probably.
Like early. So when I was a kid, I think we used it in one of the documentaries. But
I would not be surprised. He is now.
Invite him to the screening too.
No, I will. As a matter of fact, what he's doing
him on Facebook.
Do you know what he's doing now?
No.
He's a crooner.
Oh, you're kidding!
Dude, and it's amazing.
I saw something on his Facebook.
He's changed. Okay. He's flipped around, and he's now up there doing Sinatra and Dean Martin and all this amazing. Wow. And he's fantastic. He's got like a 20-piece orchestra behind him. He just did the Verdi Club on Valentine's Day. Had over 250 people there. It's amazing.
Let
it's
me know
really
when he plays.
cool.
I'll love to check that
Absolutely.
out.
Absolutely. I think he's playing May 1st in San Francisco as well. Nice. So anyway, but I met him first at the Vault.
Okay.
And it just goes to show. I mean, now I've known him. Now it's 2020, and so all of us are still very much in touch. It's a family thing. It never will end.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
Awesome.
It's really very
It's cool seeing going to shows like where I meet with you at the Civic or whatever, and you see all the people are coming out. That's where people will congregate for a big metal show.
We just went and saw Machine Head at the Fox.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were there too.
Great. I was there, yeah.
And just to go see, and by the way, what a fucking amazing show.
3.5 hours.
I mean, that was incredible.
It was.
And then to
great.
see Contos and Logan up there doing that whole thing.
It was awesome.
I loved the show as much as everybody that you get to see when you go there. It's like I call it the family reunion.
Yeah.
Another family reunion. Yeah. You see hundreds of people. It's super cool. So, I mean, it'll just keep going on until we're long gone.
Well, you're keeping it alive, Tim Healy.
Absolutely. Well, you boys too. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
you got to keep the energy rolling.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. No doubt. And cool, man. Cool. I guess was there anything you want to promote? I mean, I know it's Dress the Dead going to be doing any local shows beside the whiskey coming up. Any?
Go to dressthedead.com. We just completely redid our website. It looks amazing. And that's where to find all the new, latest, and greatest information. There are a couple of shows that we're working on for the Bay Area that aren't confirmed yet, so I can't say anything. But if you're down in LA, go see the Whiskey Show next week. And if you can get out to the Netherlands, go check us out at Dynamo. And then in the meantime, check out Dress the Dead. And
when's EP coming out?
When's the EP coming out?
Was it coming out?
Stand by. It'll be very soon.
Gotcha.
It'll be very soon. Hopefully within the next month or month and a half.
Nice.
That's where we're trying to do that. And then check out Sven. Check out Sven and the Majestic. I keep getting it mixed up. Majestic or Magnificent Orchestra. Anyway, that's another one to go check out. It's fun to go check out. So,
right on, man.
All good stuff. But thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Absolutely. We'll hook up soon. We'll see you at the screening of the Bay Area Godfathers.
I cannot wait
on the
to see Bay Area Godfathers. It's going to be brilliant.
Roxy. It'll be fun, and that'll be another big reunion. You'll know half the people.
Absolutely,
half the people there. Yeah,
I'm expecting to know almost everybody. It'll be fun.
It's going to be big. It's going to be fun. So, all right,
good
man.
stuff, guys.
Cool.
All right, thanks, Tim. Great.
Appreciate it, Mr. Healy.
Yes, thanks, Tim.
Thank you, boys.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Shockwaves Skull Sessions podcast. Subscribe and listen to all episodes by going to our pages on iTunes, Spreaker, YouTube, Spotify, and more. You can listen to all other episodes and access up-to-date information and news on the Shockwaves Skull Sessions podcast by going to our website at www.shockwaveskullsessions.com. Email all comments, questions, and suggestions to shockwaveskullsessions@gmail.com.